Apparently, I wasn't finished with the Melania Trump story. As I got up this morning, I just happened to go on YouTube and I came across this Larry King interview with the Trumps back in 2005. You have to go listen to this interview. It's really fascinating. They talk about Melania working and that she was doing this commercial for Affleck Insurance Company. This commercial is actually mimicking a film that was a silent film in 1927 called Metropolis. And it's a dystopian film referencing AI, like robots, and a woman turning into a robot, and also like a bunch of walking zombies that humanity has turned into. So here she is, like getting a transformation with this duck that Trump mentions it's a swan. Now we know the swan is Cygnus, it's the Northern Cross, it's the cross of Christ in the sky. I believe it was depicted like that in the Romanian constellations. It was a cross with like a biblical cross in the sky. Now it's a swan. This is Trump in his famous swan picture with his white suit and his bare feet. So they're using the swan symbolism a lot. I didn't know Melania had a commercial where there's reference to a swan that Trump calls a swan, even though it's a duck. But anyhow, we've got double swans now. It has a bit of comedy to it because it's like Frankenstein, but it goes back to this old movie, a German movie. And here she is being transformed. In the end, she's kind of like, she has the voice of the duck and she has duck feet. Now, you hardly ever see Melania with her ears showing, and it's kind of funny because she doesn't have any earlobes. And I'm just kind of making this reference because I find that she looks like the Vril Society that was helping, they were like telepathic women that were helping the Nazis, or the Nazis were like using them. I just always found she looked like this Vril woman from the World War II. Just weird. The reason that my attention really peaked up was when I heard the name of the company, Elflick. So I was like, Elflick, that's the name of the main star in Corona. Okay, so I'm like, I've done research on this star before, and it's the main star, it's the jewel, it's the pearl on the necklace, or you could call it, there's many different references to what this kind of loop of stars are. They're the seven sisters, and I'll go through all different cultures, what ends up referring to it as something different. But in the Chinese, it was actually a Cheshire moon on the globe. I don't know if you remember when I did that whole globe of all the different constellations. So it's a moon, which is rare to hear it be called a Cheshire moon. Now here it's all tying into Welsh mythology. It's called the Castle of the Silver Circle, the heavenly abode of the Lady Aranidhud. Okay, so it's Ariande is crowned, and she marries, I believe, Dionysus. The Arabs called the constellation Al-Flecka. So the whole constellation was called it, not just the one star, which means separated or broken up. Okay, it's also because it's a loose string of jewels. It's supposed to, like I said, one's a pearl, and then they also have it as a broken dish. It's called the Northern Crown, Eagle's Nest, also the Bear's Den, or even a smoke hole, which reminds me of Alice in Wonderland, where the caterpillar's blowing the smoke rings, right? The Shawnee people saw the stars as the heavenly sisters, very much like the Pleiades, the seven sisters, right? Who descended from the sky every night to dance on earth. Afleka signifies the youngest and the most comely sister who was sieged by a hunter who transformed into a field mouse to get close to her. They married, though she later returned to the sky, and her heartbroken husband and son followed later. The Micmac of eastern Canada saw Corona borealis as a bear den. Sorry, it's not showing there, but yeah, it's a bear den. Australian Aboriginal astronomy, the constellation was Woomera, the boomerang, because it's like a little U shape. Also, the eagle's nest with Altar and Vega. Now, Vega is in Lyra, right? It's the lyre. Again, it's not in Lyra. It's actually the lyre. Okay, and each called the mullion, the pair of eagles. So it's the pair of eagles. That's interesting because we get the two-headed eagle symbol sometimes, right? So this would be Altair and Vega. They also have it as a gathering point for the men's law, the woman's law, and for equal law, stating that the law of both sexes come together. So it's like alchemy. It's the hermaphrodite again, Mercury and Venus. So in Greek mythology, Corona Borealis was linked to the legend of Theseus and the Minotaur. It was generally considered to represent a crown given by Dionysus to Ariadne, the daughter of the Minos of Crete. This is all about the bull, right? The Minos, that's the Minotaur. After she had been abandoned by the Athenian prince Theseus, when she wore the crown at her marriage to Dionysus, he placed it in the heavens to commemorate their wedding. An alternative version has the bestowed Dionysus give the crown to Ariadne, who in turn gives it to Theseus after he arrives to Crete to kill the Minotaur. And the Cretans have demanded tribute from Athens to feed. The hero uses the crown's light to escape the labyrinth after disposing of the creature. And Dionysus later sets it in the heavens. So it's like you have to kill the bull. You know, it's interesting that Trump is born in the silver gate in the horns of the bull. So this is, this bull symbolism. I do think it's the toroidal field. And I think there's like two. And there's this imagery about, there's two fields kind of attached in the Mobius strip, and you're either in one or the other. And it's this symbolism that, the king or the bull has to go down, and therefore he resurrects. But I think that's really what all the symbolism is about with the bull symbolism. Corona Borealis was renamed Corona Firmiana in honor of an archbishops of Salzburg in 1730. It was not taken up, though, by subsequent cartographers, so you didn't take the name. So this author, H.P. Lovecraft, you have to go look at some of his poems and readings because these are esoteric writers that knew this knowledge. And so sometimes you can just read their poems and you can get a lot of information about the constellations just from reading their work. Now, Firmiana is a tree, and it's a parasol tree, so it's an umbrella. Now, we have this song that Rihanna sang about, umbrella, umbrella, so Ella, Ella. So I was always wondering what the umbrella symbolism is. So I'm wondering if it is corona, right? It would make sense at this point with the corona plague that we have. So if you didn't watch my last video, you need to go back and watch that because it's all about Melania and the statue that they burnt on July 4th in her hometown. And then I spoke about how Isis and Osiris is in her Virgo constellation at the time of her birth, and then the big cluster that's all in Taurus by the Pleiades. So that's all mapping out her birthday. So Venus always has in this alchemic picture here the mountain. She's got the mountain behind her, the rock. Okay, and Mercury has the ship. Mercury is on the mutable cross, double, double on the ladder. Cardinal cross doesn't have Mercury on the ladder. He's not on the cross, and neither is the fixed cross. But the fixed cross is ruled by the sun, and Scorpio is the water sign, and the sun being Leo. Now, cardinal cross is ruled by the moon, which is also the feminine, and also the sun pillar would be Aries, is the cardinal cross. But Venus would be, in a way, she's conjuncting with the moon. If you go back and read really ancient texts, the feminine aspects of the planets is the moon and Venus. Okay, so there's a relationship there. Now, Trump saying in this interview with Larry King, the last thing he says is, she's the rock. Okay, so it's just too bizarre. They've got this commercial. It's the same as Corona. Constellation was named Affleca, which is this commercial is Affleck, and it's all to do with this dystopian movie back in 1927. So this movie was made in Germany by a name called Lang. Yeah, Fritz Lang. The film's message is encompassed by the final enter title. The mediator between the head and the hands must be the heart. So it's really a film about, this, it's really what's happening now, really. It's really about, the walking zombies that are working to keep the whole world afloat. It's kind of to do with Norse mythology because it's like layers. They're like in the underground. They're kind of keeping the motor going, the machine going, and they're all being fed into Moloch, this AI machine. Then you got this Frankenstein guy changing this one man's woman. He thought she was dead, and then this Frankenstein guy converted her into a person. So it's like AI turning into a person. And then her name is Hell. The interesting thing about the whole movie is that it was released in Europe in January 1927, and then they released it in March in the United States. But the producer was really upset because they took the whole portion of the hell part out of the movie and shortened it when they released it in the United States, because the word hell, I guess, with the Christians would be really traumatic for them. But hell is all with Norse mythology, and she's just the woman that rules the land of the people that die from getting sick or die from old age, which is really this realm. Okay, so this is really partly why they took it out. But we need to go into Norse mythology because it ties into Odin, but the hell, and learn the layers of the Norse mythology and how the world is in 9 layers in Norse mythology. But this is interesting that this movie. So this is what her commercial was all about, and it's like exactly kind of like what's going on now with the whole AI and everybody walking around like zombies. Metropolis is now widely regarded as one of the greatest and most influential films ever made, ranking 35th in the Sight and Sound 2012 Critics Poll. It's a silent film. They ended up doing like a remake of it, I think in 1984, and they used all these songs, that we grew up with. Love Kills, Freddie Mercury, Here's My Heart, Pat Benatar, Cage of Freedom, John Anderson, Blood from a Stone, Cycle V, Frankie Domino, The Legend of Babel, Giorgio Moroder, Here She Comes, Bonnie Tyler, Destruction, Loverboy, On Your Own, Billy Squire, What's Going On, Adamant, and Machines, by the same producer there. So now, there's this song that Freddie Mercury did when I was looking into this. They used the film from, this Metropolis movie with a lot of these songs. You can go watch it. But there was a song that Freddie Mercury did with his official video is using a lot of Metropolis imagery in it, and it's called Radio Gaga. So Lady Gaga, Radio Gaga, all we hear is Radio Gaga. Yeah, you gotta go watch that. It's crazy. And they have I'll drop the link, and they talk about the film wanting to fight tyranny. to stop this machine that's taking over humanity. And this is really what this whole movie's about. And it's like, what's happening now? But it's just crazy, because it's like she does this commercial with this theme of this movie, and then that's the star named Corona, and then we got the plague, and it's Corona. It's like it's all interconnected. It's nuts. Here's there's the mad professor, just like in her movie. And then it's kind of, they use the Venus symbolism of the woman, Hel. Her name's Hel. And then there she is, and she's transforming. She's riding the dragon, just like Venus is in this fall, on the dragon, on Scorpio. There's the Moloch with all the, and then they even have the Reaper with his scythe, standing underneath like 12, zodiac it's like wheel. So I need to watch the film. It's probably loaded with stuff, and since it's such a renowned film, it's important to this time period that we're living now. It's actually 9 decades later, so that's important too. So I'm sure you've seen this picture of Trump's apartment with the Greek mythology up in the ceiling and everything being gold. Now this all ties into the sun. Obviously, Leo, the Lion King, the sun. It's Apollo, right? So I want to go into this, and I found something interesting about Apollo today. Now, Apollo, which I didn't know, ties into the god of the plague. Now, he's meaning simply the son of Enlil, title that was given to the god Nergal, who is linked to Shamash, a Babylonian god of the sun. The role of Apollo as the god of plague is evident in the invocation of Apollo Smithinus, the mouse Apollo. So there's the mouse again. So this is, so he really, he's the plague, but then he heals you as well. So Apollo's chief epithet was Phoebus. Yeah, this is what I was looking at for Phoebus, because I was listening to this ancient text being written today, and it was about Phoebus, and I was like, who's Phoebus? And then it was like, oh, literally it means bright. Okay, so let's go into this. So we've got the plague. This is all part of it. We've got the corona, all tying into this commercial. So really, the symbolism is all there. The function of Apollo as the healer is connected with Pagan, the physician of the gods in the Iliad, who seems to come from a more primitive religion. So the Iliad Apollo is the healer under the gods, but he is also the bringer of disease and death with his arrows, similar to the function of the Vedic god of disease, Rudra. He sends a plague. So yeah, so we got the plague. This is it. That's why the corona came in when Trump was still in office, right? So some common epithets of Apollo as the healer are Paeon, healer, the helper. So I think really it's just, he brings the plague. It's part of to do with the sun. There's songs written to them, to Dionysus, to Apollo, Helios, to Apollo's son, Asclepius, the healer. Well, Asclepius is Ophiuchus, right? It's the doorway. And then the 13th zodiac. Let's see, what else do they say here? It's pretty much all the same. It's to do with the dragon, representation of a dragon that happens in Northern European folklore, well as in the East. This is all tying into the tales of the Homeric hymns, the Dark Ages. Yeah, so anyhow, this is all tying into Artemis, which is Diana, which is really Sagittarius. Symbolism is to Diana, right? That's what we saw in the last video that I did. That's what we came to the conclusion. So anyhow, it's all very interesting. Yeah, the last thing I should throw in the other Trump commercial, which is all tying into symbolism as well. Now, Trump did this Serta mattress commercial, and they used 9/11 on the sheep. Now, the whole thing about 9, it is a sacred number, but I'm going to explain something here with the vortex math. I don't believe the 369 is the key to the universe. I think actually that's what traps you here. The number 9 is the key, but 369 is not, in my opinion, what I understand through astrology, and I'm going to explain it to you. If you notice the numbers, if you go 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5, it creates this W, similar to the constellation, the Queen of Heaven, Cassiopeia. It's always about the W. Okay, the W has the X in the middle. It's also, it's not really W, it's double V, right? But W is the terminology. It's because it's the two U's. It's one side is your shadow side, one side's your light side. I see this as the two realms, and I'm going to explain it because these numbers add up to 9. So the actual loop, the Mobius strip, adds up to 9. But the 3, 6, and 9 are separate. They're not part of the circuit. Okay, so now I'm going to think about this, the numbers 3, 6, 9, and we're going to bring this onto an astrology wheel, and I'm going to explain to you how this ends up being the candidate houses. So you can see here, they're not showing the numbers, but you have 3 at the bottom, which is air, then 6 would be earth, then fire would be 9, and then 12 would be water, but 1 and 2 adds to 3. So we're on a 12, cycle wheel, not a 9. But we have the numbers 3, 6, 9. These are the candidate houses. This is Gemini, Virgo, both ruled by Mercury, and then the 9th house is Sagittarius, which is ruled by Jupiter. And then in the 12th house, it's Pisces. But these signs, 3, 6, and 9, these are all mutable cross. Okay, so 3, 6, 9 puts you, it separates you from jumping. Okay, this is the way I see it. I see this 2 Mobius strip circuit is one reality, the fixed cross, and the other is the cardinal cross. I keep saying that we're in the fixed cross. You have to jump to the cardinal cross at 0 point, okay, which I do believe will have that opportunity. Now, if you're not able to jump, you're stuck. You can't make the jump. You can't transfer over, okay, to the parallel Alice universe theory. Okay, so this is like you're disconnected. You're now, part of the, unable to be psychokinetic in your own body. So then you're disconnected because the fixed cross, the Lion King, is going down. It is. This is the symbolism. This cross is male dominant, and it's the resurrection of the god, the male dominant god of this realm, which would be Trump. Think of it almost like time travel. One group goes in a tube one way, another group goes in a tube another way. One is Trump is okay and he's fine, and the other he's gone. Okay, so this is how I see it in my head, how I see the symbolism, how I understand it through astrology, how I understand it through numerology. Okay, so it's all there. It's making sense, more and more sense every day for me. So, and this commercial with Melania just blew me away. So yeah, so it's the light of the sun is Apollo. He's the kind of like the light bringer. Okay, so it's again the light bringer, which also ties into Venus. So it's really the two, and then it's the wolf. Okay, we've done stuff about the wolf now. It means to kill. The wolf is to kill. Now, his azimuthal grid, I've done this in previous videos about his birth time, because I have his time, his azimuthal grid portals go to the wolf. Okay, so I don't know, I can't say any more if you believe or you don't believe. It doesn't matter, but the point is, it's there for you to see if you choose to see it, right? That's what the great work is. It's all hidden in plain sight. You just have to open your heart, open your mind, and see it in a logical, without any emotion, without any beliefs, without any old beliefs, and just see it for what it is. Okay, and it's all playing out absolutely perfectly. It's so divine. So anyhow, I just thought this was really crazy. This just all came to me today, and I just wanted to shoot this out to you because I thought I was done with whole Melania and exposing this kind of symbolism, but nope, I had to do this as well today because this kind of popped up. So anyhow, I just will hopefully start to get to the muses. I really want to get to the muses. I'm starting to try to really understand all the ancient astrology and all the mythology around that. It's a great, huge body of work to go through because it's really hard to find the information. So seeking it out is like brutal because it's not a book that you can just open up and read. You got to go listen to people interpreting old texts and find the old texts, which I don't even know how to find them because, you know, I'm just searching. So I'm trying to pull all that together and start to get the online school going. So anyhow, I just thought this was really quite entertaining. I just wanted to push this out. Take care. List you all.